Diane Jones. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. I am so excited that you have decided to talk to me. Um, I came up with this idea to do a women's series to talk about International Women's Day. And I want to talk about the theme of International Women's Day. But before I do that, I want you to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do and who you are.
So I'm Diane Jones, and I am a therapist slash coach. I am a therapist moving to coaching. And I have a wellness company called the Lotus Wellness Group, where I do individual and group coaching on my
Okay,
really mindset, and my focus really is women.
great, wonderful. Also, tell people how they can reach you. What's your website?
www.thelotuswellnessgroup.com.
Okay,
Very
so
easy.
yes, so if you all are needing coaching or therapy services, please
Coaching.
reach out. Coaching, just oh, sorry. Yes, she's moving into coaching. So I want to have you all reach out to her for your coaching services.
Yes.
So we're going to just jump into the conversation that we're going to have today. And again, the series is for International Women's Day or National Women's Month, sorry. Because all things women in March, right? And
Exactly.
so one of the things I wanted to talk about because they have this theme and it's inspire inclusion. So in light of that, what would you say that means for you regarding diversity and inclusion in the work that you do?
So uh, it means a lot, but I think what I want to say for today is um, I think we need to do, before we get to the inclusion part, we got a lot of work we need to do among ourselves, a lot of healing we need to do among ourselves before we start trying to be included in bigger circles. So I think we need to do a lot of at-home work with our relationships with each other as a force, and then look at how we then are included equitably with other women groups.
Okay. So if we need to do the work, so our homework with ourselves,
Mhm.
um, how would you suggest that one do that? How do we as women, and I'm assuming that you're talking about women of color.
Yes.
Okay. So women of color, we're doing homework. What does that look like? How do we heal our own wounds and try to create bonds with our sister girls?
I think we're so socialized, one, for self-hate, and then two, to hate each other and to be in competition with each other. And so there are a lot of women, depending on what circle you're in, um, are really isolated. And depending on how you grew up and what you were exposed to, what group you click with, all that, like it's so many things. But I think we're not conscious of the self-hate, one, and then two, how that affects us as a community of women. So I think one, getting in touch with loving your own self, loving your own Black self. And then, because if I don't love me, then every time I see you, I'm gonna be mad because I'm hating on you about something that I don't like about myself. It's not a conscious thing, but that's what's playing out, and that's what manifests in our relationships at times. So I think it's about too, when you're at a place, and I think there's a revolution going on now with among women of color, that we want to unite. Hence, these conversations are happening more frequently because we feel the need to be a part of something. Because I think the whole DEI movement was a lot of lip service, and so that we're still in the same place. I don't see anything that really has changed, and so um, the workplace thing, there's always different expectations. So you have to do your own work, and I think it begins with really spending time with yourself, your own self care. If I'm loving myself, it makes it so much easier for me to love my sister and
Absolutely. I totally agree.
have some compassion and not always to see. And I can see your wins as wins and not as you bragging, because I'm also winning.
And that brings me to my next question because I
That
just
was
started
good.
Bravo.
Yes, you did.
I
And
just
it's
started
beautiful.
Rebel Sister, and I really, I've started so many groups. And
You're so talented.
when I was thinking about this particular group, I had to go back and think about like, well, actually, what happened was my coach asked me a profound question, like, "What do you want to be known for?" And I was like, "What? Deep, profound questions," because it made me really sit with that. And that triggered some other things. And I went back to my childhood and I just started thinking about belonging. And
Mm,
even for DEI, because I'm a certified DEI consultant and practitioner. And I remember when I was being um, going through the practitioner program, I started thinking about like, but this is so much deeper than inclusion. It's about belonging, right? Then the next year,
yes, yes.
belonging. And so I think oftentimes we don't see ourselves, right? And so then we don't have a sense of belonging. And I think that translates even when we're talking about Black women, right? And what that means. So for me, I've started a lot of groups. Even when I lived abroad and or moved here or there, I always started some type of sister girl connection,
Great.
right?
Mhm.
Um, and I'm good for that. So wherever I go, but oh yeah, she makes these connections. Um, but I did that because for a long time I just never felt like I belonged to anything. So if you go into the light skinned thing, or you go into the I'm tall, or I like, to travel. I like to, so you get all these different identities, but yet the identities don't necessarily stick because they're not authentic, right? And they're not really who you are. So you're not really showing up as your authentic self in these spaces. And so I think for me, I've always tried to connect with people to find synergy and then establish that core beingness, I guess.
Yes.
Um, but let me just ask you, because I know that you're really into sisterhood and you have some strong sister friend relationships. And I understand, I'm a 70s baby. So I know that my aunt used to tell me, and she's, 3 generations ahead of me, be like, y'all young people don't understand girlfriend connections because I got girlfriend connections, but you do have girlfriend connections. So talk to us about that sense of belonging and where you think some of the holes are in it for a lot of women, especially women of color.
You broke up on that last part. You said the holes in what now?
Holes in the relationships and connections between women, primarily women of color.
Yeah, that's so true, everything you just shared. And I think that isolation is real. And I think those relationships become harder to form the way that you described because we have been addicted to maintaining this persona and this shell that we have because we always have to show up looking a certain way, being a certain way. And so you don't, I think it's just being vulnerable and let people see who you really are when you find your tribe. And I think my circles are very small, but they are raw, they are vulnerable. There's no pretense, there's no judgments, and that you can really be who you are, and be supported in that, and nobody's judging you. And so you find that I just recently, for the same reasons that you described, for Bravo Sister, created a group called Cozy Couch Conversations, and it was based on that. I recently had a trip when I visited some friends in Maryland, and it was four of us got together, and we hadn't seen each other in years. And for three of us, haven't even talked to each other for years. One of them I had talked to more frequently, but we got together, got on the couch, and was from go just shared so many things and just felt so just right back where we left off at. and those real conversations that are life-changing, that fill you up. And I left like feeling so full and grateful for these connections. I'm like, I want to create this on a larger scale. I want women to be able to come together, in a theoretical couch setting and just share and just hold each other, support each other, hold space, grieve, talk about your loss. But I think too, Shot, is about we don't take time enough to cultivate circumstances that feel safe or relationships that feel safe. Because a lot of us come from a lot of trauma in relationships. And so we don't feel safe. And so we don't ever share truly who we are. So I think it's first creating that safety among ourselves. Like it's okay to be who you are and not allow any violations of that and maintaining that safety among each other.
So I guess my next question would be, if we do have a lot of trauma and we're coming to spaces incomplete, unwhole,
Heal.
unhealthy, all the things, right? If we're coming to spaces that way, but we want to have connection, and there's so many things that we're bringing. It's almost like all I can hear is Erykah Badu's song "Bag Lady," because you have all this baggage that you're bringing to relationships, and let's not even talk about male female relationships or any kind of relationship that is intimate. If you have all
Correct.
this baggage, how do you expect somebody to see you, acknowledge you, embrace you, and bring you to the table, let alone include you into anything?
I think we talk about those issues and we make it a safe place. Like I see you, even if you come with all those things that you just named. Like this is a place that you can come and bring. You can be that as you're healing, come that, but we're also going to require you to do some work. Like you got to do some work. You're not going to be just in here bleeding all over everybody and doing things that create some other kind of imbalance. But I think the thing is for somebody to finally see you and to say, I see you look like you're in pain. Like I know that relationship had to be hard. I know that childhood trauma had to be hard. But I think not being afraid to allow the breakdowns to happen, not be afraid to allow you to become a space for you to become undone. Because we are exhausted, also always holding it all together and having to keep it together. I want to create a space where you don't have to keep it together. Let's fall apart so we can start over. Let's fall
Baby,
apart.
I'm there.
We don't have a space to fall. We don't have a space to fall apart. You can't. You got to be the certain persona at work because we got to do double at work to be in those spaces to whatever be all of those things that you have to be at work. You can't make mistakes. I need you to a space that you can feel safe to make a mistake, just to become undone. And so creating those spaces, I think, facilitates our healing. And hopefully from that group process, you then be like, I need to go do some work for myself. That will encourage you then to go seek out your own individual work. So collectively, we can continue to heal, but you then know you got to go do your work.
See, I think the problem is that people don't want to do the work. Like,
Absolutely don't want to do the work.
it's
Absolutely.
hard to do the work because you have to look at yourself. You have to sit with yourself and you have to be like, listen, I'm not about to be a victim. It is what it is. It's not what it's not. I'm ready to move forward. I want to see something different. But that's difficult. It's easy to be in pain and walk around and look like, you're $1 million, but you dead inside. It's easy to do that.
And what I'm banking on this year is that I hope there's a group of women that are sick and tired of being sick and tired and sick and tired of being that dressed up shell and that you want more for your life and that you want a deeper connection with other people because people don't even know you. Like you said, you have all these walls up. You can't have any authentic relationships. So I'm hoping there are some women who want to become undone finally. I hope there's some women that finally don't want to be strong and that want to be in this soft life and not just saying it on Facebook, but really live a life that's soft and that you can allow to be treated a certain way and expected and required for your life, that you are even allow yourself to be on the receiving end. Like I'm hoping there's some people who want to do the work. It's challenging. I don't even use the word hard because hard make you feel like, oh, I can't even do it. But it's challenging, but we can get through it. And I think it's easier when you have some people who can identify with you and say, yeah, that I went through that too. Because there's nothing like the power of a group in transformations. Because you come thinking it's just me and I'm only one experiencing this. But somebody say, girl, I've been through that last year. And let me tell you what I did. So it automatically ignites that in you, like, oh, it's possible to get done. Because the other thing is, we got so many things on our plate. We multitasking, doing this, taking care of everybody, all that. We keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down, and we never get to it. We never get to it. The once a month day you go to the spa is not self-care.
Right.
You're just taking care of your toes and your back. You're getting a massage and you're getting your feet done. You have done nothing to your internal that needs the self-care. So we need to stop telling that lie too, but that's a whole
Well, I want to, you mentioned soft life, and I'm all things soft life these days. Like,
yes,
I really, really, I've been studying it.
yes, me too.
I've been living it for a minute, but I've been studying it to like, you know, I don't have the understanding of burnout from a job situation because I've always been the type of person where, when the signs start showing up on the wall, I'm like, okay, this too has passed and I'm
Yeah,
gonna move forward. But for women who don't understand, because I think a lot of times people think because they equate soft life with like the life of luxury and all things Prada and
nah,
Chanel. And that's
nah,
not what it is. It's
nah.
really about being aligned with yourself so that you can have more ease and grace and
Yes,
that you're not in that struggle or the hustle and trying to do things that are outside your wheelhouse, trying to make something look good that's not even good for you.
exactly.
So talk about soft life and talk about, you know, what soft life means to you and how you want to create a soft life.
Yeah, I've been living a soft life for 3 years now since I went and had my breakdown and then went and moved to Mexico. So I think for me, it was detachment and letting go of one, other people's expectations of me and being a caretaker for everybody else except myself. And so I was able to go and just become undone in a place that was safe, um, and heal. I allowed myself to heal. It wasn't just a pause. I came to a complete stop. I did a whole self-imposed sabbatical, referred my clients out and just took care of me, just tended to me for the first time really in my life without any distractions. And so that soft life for me continues to be detachment from any outcomes of what I used to. I don't need to control anything. I don't need to control anything. It's gonna work itself out. It is, if it's not this, it'll be something better. So just letting go and really allowing the universe to take care of me in a way that I have never allowed before. And really living totally on faith. Like whatever the next thing is, it will appear, it will manifest. But really letting go and allow myself for the first time to be on the receiving end of everything and not just the giver, but just to receive and allow my own garden to be watered and not do all the watering. Like my thing was, I'm not doing any more watering. I'm just receiving the water. I'm not doing no more. I was just receiving. So soft for me meant I can put down the strong cape. I didn't need to be strong. I wanted to be weak. I wanted to receive help and learn how to receive help or receive whatever it is I needed because I just always did it. And we just always do it without even asking, assuming the help is not going to be there. And so I just dropped off lots of baggage. Um, and it's not, it's just living with ease. Like you said, it's not going against, I'm not resisting anything. I'm not controlling. I'm not detached. I don't have any expectations of you. I'm allow you to have your journey, whatever that looks like for you. I'm not going to impose my ideas on it unless you ask me a question. Then I'll give you my opinion. But I'm not imposing. I'm not doing any of that. I just
I
want to.
love it.
I just want to inspire women to get to this other side of freedom. And yes, it was scary. No, I didn't know what it looked like. Yes, I just jumped. But let me tell you something. On the other side of that fear is everything you think you wanted. Because it is. It's everything you want on the other side of that. So it was worth the risk. I would never go back to that other life. I'm not going back.
Oh, I'm going to applaud you for taking the leap of faith, because I can imagine, had you ever you hadn't lived abroad before, had you ever traveled abroad?
Yeah, I've traveled abroad many times, but not just went to a place sight unseen and like I'm living here. Don't speak the language, none of that. No, heck no, none of that.
Well, a bravo to you because that takes courage. It
Mhm.
it takes some faith.
Yeah.
It takes resiliency. So you have done something most people are not even willing to do because some people aren't even willing to cross the street to see what's on the other side, let alone go to a whole nother country.
Right.
So, so kudos to you. We have probably time for one more question. And with that question, as a mindset coach, what do you think some of the biggest barriers or limitations or beliefs that one has that keeps people from taking leaps of faith, walking and doing the life that they really want to have, or you know, moving into the place that they're supposed to be in versus staying in a place that they know no longer serves them.
Two things come to mind. The first thing is a belief in lack. We're so 10 toes down believing in lack that we don't even know it. We don't believe it can happen. We haven't seen it. We don't think it's possible for me. I don't think I deserve it. So I'm always living in lack. And I live like there's never going to be enough. I work like I'm not going to have enough. I'm living paycheck to paycheck because I don't believe there's enough. And so the second piece of that is we're not connected to our divine source. Whatever your higher power is, I am one with all things that are. Like I am
Mm.
one with the manifestation that has everything, that is prosperous. So I don't see myself separate from that. If I'm one with that, I just got to get in line with the flow and then I can get whatever I need to have. So my mindset is I always have everything I need. So I don't see myself separate for that. And I don't see something I have to work or earn. That was my birthright. That is the purpose for my life. In order for me to do what I came here to do, I can't be worried about paying bills. You either want me to do this or that. I can't do both. So I